This is a critical time for American education.
Because of a lack of funding, programs are being cut, athletics are being cut, academic programs are being cut.
Everybody knows that the level of education and skills of our workforce will determine their ability to get and keep good jobs and to have a secure future.
And we believe that if a child is going to receive a well-rounded education, then we have the responsibility to make sure that they have adequate and equitable funding.
Recommit ourselves, our resources, and our treasure to give the finest and best education.
The need for skills development is greater than ever, and the number of people who need it is larger than ever.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to TSA. I'm Samba.
I'm Tenzin.
And I'm Advait, and this episode is called Education Hurts. You want to know why? Because there's no budget for the public education from the federal government.
So let's talk about that.
Federal budget that Trump released for 2018, the total is 4.401 trillion, and education is only getting 8.5% of that. And it went down by 14% compared to the last 2017's budget.
I believe that this budget is cruel, and I believe that it is reckless. I believe that it will hurt middle class, working, low-income families that most need our help.
And these budget cuts into special program eds, and other programs are often overlooked by departments and schools. So last year there was a 40% budget on special eds, but then they cut it down to only 16%.
So one thing that I did is I had a small little meeting and a small little interview with Abigail Fine. She is the managing director at Next Stop Theater Company.
I am responsible for the business side of the organization. It's responsible for all of the revenue earned and contributed. So for education, we have to look for big expenses, the teaching artists, and the space, and the supplies. And we look that against the revenue side, which is for camps, tuition. What tuition can we make versus how much it's going to cost?
When they're budgeting for their shows, they're also budgeting for education to spread that out there. And basically, the consensus of that entire interview was that we're both in agreement that cutting money for education is a bad thing to do. When she's been planning her entire season, she actually added more money towards education to kind of up their production value.
A booster program is where parents come together and try to raise money for students, and some science departments have booster classes. Mostly it's like theater arts, band, orchestra. They have these boosters which help raise money for the program. But why do we need boosters if there should be enough? If there's enough money in the federal budget for it?
That's exactly why we have boosters, because there's not enough money. There never is. And that's the issue. They don't take time and to consider what every single department might need for the year. So I had a meeting with Oakton High School's drama booster officers, and some of them are also choral booster officers. And we had a great conversation about, one, why they first established boosters in the first place.
Are established for funding support and to do the work that the schools are asked to do to fundraise and to make the programs, whether it's sports programs or arts programs, a more richer experience for the students.
Historically, we've paid for things that the school won't pay for that we, need in the program. The course is entirely driven by, we are constantly doing fundraisers. Everything we are doing is raising money to be able to give back to the program. So,
organization started was because they wanted to help the programs, and they wanted to make sure that these students had enough opportunities, which is one thing that I love about booster organizations, is that they have some money allocated for people who are in free or reduced lunch and that possibly cannot afford things that other people can. They try to allocate enough money to cover those charges for people.
Playing devil's advocate here, we're talking about how schools don't have enough budgeting, but they have over trillions of dollars that they have to choose wisely where to put that money in.
I think there's one thing to note, that every single county and every single area is different. So I think it really does depend on where you are, and that we can't just directly be like, oh, we don't have enough, so federal budgeting is bad. Because for all we know, there might be some sort of reasoning behind this. What should the candidates be looking for when they're, discussing the different issues? And I definitely think education budgeting should be on their list.
You should target that young audience who needs that budgeting for education.
Both the Democratic and Republican side would be like having a benefit from having a better education, because it's like tomorrow's generation, and without tomorrow's generation, like how would they expect us to work and like pay off the national debt, which the older generation might not have had a say in it, but we already have it.
Yep, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and for kind of coming into this little conversation with us, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.